You're 18 years old, and for the next 40 years, you'll make the same decision over and over again. Not the smartest one, not the worst one, the safest one, every single time. At first, it feels like a good strategy. After all, the world constantly warns you about risk. Don't take unnecessary chances. Don't be reckless. Don't gamble with your future. Build stability first. Dream later. So, when it's time to choose a career, you don't choose the path that excites you the most. You choose the one that feels secure, not your dream, your backup plan. A career with a predictable salary, a predictable future, a predictable life. Your parents approve, your teachers approve. Even you feel relieved. The chances of failure just became smaller, and that feels good. At 22, you get your first full-time job. It's not exciting, but it's stable. Every morning you show up, every month you get paid, every year you hope for a raise. Life becomes comfortable, predictable, safe. One day a friend asks if you'd like to start a business together. Nothing huge, just an idea, a chance to build something. But almost immediately you start listing reasons why it won't work. Too risky, too uncertain, too many things could go wrong. Your friend launches the business without you. You stay where you are, and honestly, it feels like the right decision. A few years later, many risky ideas fail. Startups shut down, investments lose money, people make mistakes. Every time you see it happen, you feel validated. You were right. Playing it safe worked again. By the time you're 30, your life looks successful. You have a decent income, some savings, maybe a house, maybe a family. From the outside, everything looks exactly the way an adult life is supposed to look. And that's what makes the danger so difficult to notice. Because it doesn't arrive as a disaster, it arrives as an absence. The absence of something that could have happened. One evening you meet up with old friends. Some changed careers, some moved across the country, some started companies, some completely reinvented themselves. Not all of them succeeded. Some lost money, some failed, some had to start over more than once. But as they tell their stories, you notice something strange. They have stories. Stories about risk, stories about failure, stories about turning points that changed everything. Stories that couldn't have happened if they had stayed comfortable. And suddenly, you realize something. The last 10 years of your life feel remarkably similar. Not bad, just similar. You didn't lose, but you didn't discover much either. At 35, a new problem appears: comparison. Not with billionaires, not with celebrities, with another version of yourself. The version that never existed. The version that said yes. Sometimes you wonder what would have happened if you joined that business. What would have happened if you moved to another city? What would have happened if you switched careers? What would have happened if you took the chance? You'll never know. And somehow that becomes more painful than failure itself. Because failure has an ending. Uncertainty doesn't. The older you get, the more these questions begin to follow you. Not every day, not every week, but often enough. You see someone building a company and wonder. You meet someone who started over at 40 and wonder. You watch someone leave everything behind to pursue a dream and wonder, not because their life is better, because it could have been yours. At 40, many of your decisions start paying off. You have stability, experience, predictability. You've built a safe life. But you begin noticing something else. Safety has a price. Every time you chose the safe option, you didn't just avoid risk. You avoided possibility. The possibility of failure, but also the possibility of success. The possibility of embarrassment, but also the possibility of growth. The possibility of losing, but also the possibility of becoming someone new. Most people think the opposite of success is failure, but often the opposite of success is comfort. Comfort doesn't hurt. Comfort doesn't challenge you. Comfort doesn't demand courage. And that's exactly why it's so easy to stay there for decades. One day you run into an old friend, the friend who started that business years ago, the one you thought was taking an unnecessary risk. You expect to hear about success. Instead, you hear about everything that went wrong. The failed launches, the debt, the stress, the sleepless nights, the mistakes, the uncertainty. For a moment, you feel relieved. Maybe you really did make the right choice. Then he starts talking about the lessons he learned, the people he met, the places he traveled, the experiences he never would have had otherwise. And as he speaks, you realize something uncomfortable. His life was harder than yours, but it was also bigger than yours. Not richer, not better, bigger, more unpredictable, more alive. And for the first time, you begin questioning what safety actually gave you. By 50, a simple truth becomes impossible to ignore. You rarely regret the things you did. You regret the things you didn't do. The conversation you never had, the opportunity you never took, the city you never moved to, the business you never started, the dream you never pursued, the risk you never accepted. The heaviest regrets are rarely actions. They're possibilities. Possibilities that slowly became impossibilities. Opportunities that expired. Doors that eventually closed, without you ever walking through them. And one day, you look back at your life. It was a good life, maybe even a great one. You were responsible, careful, practical. You avoided many mistakes, many losses, many painful failures. But one question continues to follow you. Not what went wrong, but what could have been. Because playing it safe protects you from many dangers, but it also protects you from many opportunities. And that's the hidden cost. The risks are visible, the regrets aren't, at least not until decades later. Eventually, every person has to live with the risks they took, but they also have to live with the risks they never took. And sometimes, those are the ones that stay with you the longest.